Welcome to Junkyard Haunts, where we turn trash into haunts. Today I'm going to be making the Cabinet of Curiosity. So this whole year, I've been making potions and talking about a secret project that I'm going to be making, combining them all. This is that project, and I will put a list of a few of the potions up, and then after we build this cabinet, we'll put them all on and combine them all to make it look really cool and awesome. I'm not going to be going over measurements for this project. A lot of it was actually I just had a plan in my head, and then I made sure all the pieces were basically the same size. So my cabinet is 4 feet tall though, so I will need a lot of potions to completely fill this thing up. But since I am using trash, I am actually using some wood fence posts, and they are very rough and ugly, so I'm just sanding them down and then using a saw to cut them into size. The cabinet will be able to open and close and function. It will be mainly used as kind of like a shelving unit, and you just put a whole bunch of potions on it and it will make it look really cool, and you'll kind of be like a traveling salesperson idea. Make sure you subscribe. I make lots of props, and I have lots of props that you can check out on the channel already. Next year I will be making bigger props and even better ones, but probably doing a little less videos because of it. So make sure you subscribe and check out all the old videos. When you measure and cut things, the old saying goes that you measure twice and cut once. Now I want to make this thing as light as I possibly can, so I have these really thin sheets of wood that I'm just trimming down to size. You don't want this to be super heavy because it doesn't need to be. For one, it is just a prop used to represent something, so you want those types of things to be light so they're easy to move around, easy to store, and easy to put away. And so I'm just using these very thin sheets to be able to do that. And once I get everything all cut out, I'm just going to nail them all together. I'm just basically using staples to do that with, because these are so thin. It is easy to just use a staple instead of something like a screw or a nail. So you'll be able to save money by using a regular staple gun, and my staples stick through, so just using a hammer to nail those down. I'm going to be making 4 shelves on this, and I'm going to be making a lid and a back to it to be able to hold all the props. I probably should have actually made this a little bit thinner. My back is pretty deep, and since its main idea was to be used to make potions, I definitely made this a little too deep, so I have to make even more props to make up for that. So when you design your cabinet, just make sure you keep in mind stuff like that, your finished idea and product. And when you put the top and bottom, which will be used as shelves, and it's just made more out of that thin wood, and we will be using some of that fence post wood to make those shelves look a little bit thicker and nicer. I am working with another YouTube channel using his music, so I will just be quiet right now and let you listen to that. And you can check out his channel, the link is in the description. understand that a project like this does take a long time. I did work on this for many days, going back and forth, stopping and coming back up and adding to it. So don't get too discouraged if this is taking a very long time. My 10-minute video is definitely not how long this project actually took to make. And also because I didn't have an actual map out guideline before I started with all my pieces measured out, I did not have enough wood when I made this. So I actually had to go back through and sand more wood and cut more strips. It definitely would have saved time if I would have just been able to do that all at the same time. So planning pays off by saving you time. Now I'm making the lid of this project, but as you can see, it is the exact same as the back of it, just smaller and not as deep. Which, again, in retrospect, I probably should have just made both of them the same size so that both weren't as deep. This is me cutting more pieces because I failed to plan ahead. At the beginning of the year, I made a prop, which I can put a link up to. I made an actual frame, and I had to make a stain for it, and the stain was just apple cider, a little some water, and some steel wool mixed into a container. And then you let that container sit for about 3 days or so. The longer you let it sit, the darker the stain will turn out. But it will age your wood and make it look worn. And so I actually made that at the beginning of the year and never used it again until I worked on this prop. So the steel wool completely dissolved into this stain that I made, and it made it look way darker than just waiting for 2 days. I did add even more water to it though to help spread it around. And then I just take that stain and just cover the entire thing front and back, and you have to just let it dry. And what it does is it kind of makes the wood look aged and worn, and it's real cheap and easy to make. It's just steel wool and apple cider vinegar, and a couple of days to let the steel wool dissolve within the mixture. And on my particular case, a couple months to let it completely dissolve. And we cover the whole thing. I'm just doing the front and back, and the back of the wood I'm just kind of putting on really poorly, so it kind of gives like a even more old look to it. And then we're just getting some different shapes and different hinges and screwing those two pieces together so that it can be on a hinge to open and close. Thanks for watching me build that. Yes, that took all year because I would only work on it here and there. So it's the end of the year. That means I have made 52 props. Woo! Make sure you subscribe because next year we're going to do even bigger stuff. Make sure you check out how I built all these other props too. Not everything could fit in here. Some of it was too big, but I got a lot of stuff in here. Also, I apparently need more to be able to fill this thing up completely.